Welcome in. It's time for another Morning Espresso here on the SDH Network. I'm Jason Longshore. All the soccer news you need to know for Friday, January 24th. Silly season down to the wire almost. So just keep the seat belts buckled for now because there's still going to be a few more twists and turns as we go, no matter who you're a fan of. But I know a lot of you are fans of Atlanta United, so let's start there. Miguel Almiron, Keith Downey of Sky Sports tweeted this morning a tweet that I will read you the tweet. Eddie Howe says Miguel Almiron may not be sold this window, and the quotes that were used from Eddie Howe in this: "We are both aware of the situation. Yes, there is interest in him from other clubs, and yes, there's a chance he could leave before the end of the window. But if that moment never arrives, he's still a valuable member. We love him to bits, and his head is still very solidly here. Not one moment have I felt the need to have a deeper conversation with him. Let's see what happens." From the same media availability in The Athletic, this section was written by Chris Wall. Howe said that Almiron has been, quote, brilliant in training, but acknowledged that he could still leave before the end of the window. Different interpretations of comments being made by Eddie Howe, the manager of Newcastle. Now, late yesterday afternoon, Herman Garcia Grova, he tweeted that Atlanta United and Newcastle had reached a verbal agreement. Details remain to be worked out, but all parties agree that the deal is close to being finalized. I know Miguel Almiron posted a photo slide on Instagram of different photos that ended with him and his wife at the airport. I don't think that was necessarily a picture of them leaving yesterday, because it sounds like Almiron will be part of Newcastle's match against Southampton this weekend. I would not be surprised if you see movement on this deal next week. Newcastle's not looking to replace Almiron. So, as I've said all along, they're going to want to keep him as long as possible for cover. This is one more game they're going to get with him as cover for the rest of the group. So, my guess is you're going to see some heavy movement next week on this one. Now, Newcastle's match with Southampton is also very interesting tomorrow, as Eddie Howe spoke to the media today. Record high winds from a storm have battered parts of the UK. There's a red warning issued by the UK Met Office for parts of Scotland, while an amber warning is in force for the Northeast. Many flights canceled out of Newcastle's airport. Newcastle United set to fly out of the airport down to Southampton on the South Coast on Friday afternoon. Kickoff tomorrow is 10 a.m. Eastern Time. They might not be able to fly. Newcastle could travel by bus, but you're talking about an 8 or 9 hour bus ride that could turn into 12 or 13 hours, according to Eddie Howe, because of the winds. There's no guarantee that they could actually do the trip by bus. So, yeah, stay tuned on Newcastle, on buses, on planes, and on Miguel Almiron and what's next for him. Let's move over to Middlesbrough and Emmanuel Latte Lath. Craig Johns of the Middlesbrough Gazette this morning posted about 6 o'clock local time. Michael Carrick has suggested that Middlesbrough will set a deadline on any potential Emmanuel Latte Lath exit, and it talked about the last time around where Ipswich came in with an offer on the last day of the transfer window, and Middlesbrough had to say no because they didn't have a replacement lined up. So no other club has made an offer as of yet for Emmanuel Latte Lath. Atlanta United is the only one who has. The deadline is on Monday, February 3rd at 11 p.m. English time on this deal. So Middlesbrough need to get another forward if they sell Emmanuel Latte Lath. They are believed to have a plan in place. This was from Craig Johns' article at the Middlesbrough Gazette this morning. Well, about an hour ago, Keith Downey of Sky Sports tweeted this: Middlesbrough have had an £8 million offer for Morgan Whitaker accepted by Plymouth. The agreement is £6 million plus £2 million in add-ons. The forward is set to travel to Middlesbrough to undergo a medical over the weekend if Middlesbrough can agree to personal terms. So that might be your replacement, and that might accelerate things when it comes to Emmanuel Latte Lath leaving Middlesbrough. No other club has made an offer except for Atlanta United. I know he wanted to go to the Premier League at one point. He might still want to go to the Premier League. I don't know where that issue is going to stand at this point. So stay tuned, and I'm sure you might hear some more reports out of Italy when all is said and done, considering that's where Emmanuel Latte Lath's agent is based. Okay, let's continue with the drama. The North American Soccer League, remember them? They are in court with US Soccer and with MLS now in New York. It is a $500 million antitrust lawsuit. NASL was denied Division Two status in 2018 by US Soccer for allegedly failing to meet second tier criteria. There's no allegedly, they failed to meet second tier criteria. That's just a fact. The NASL says that US Soccer and MLS conspired to prevent the league from competing with MLS by denying them accreditation. Okay. And NASL claims that this unfairly led to the league ceasing operations in the same year. Okay. So the trial's going to continue. Carmelo Anthony, who owned Puerto Rico FC, he took the stand. Others have taken the stand. U.S. Soccer and MLS have said that the leagues were on very different scales. They didn't see NASL as a threat. Here's what I can tell you, because I was around the Atlanta Silverbacks at this time, who were part of the NASL and then weren't. Um, this is maybe similar to NFL, USFL in terms of, could you potentially find something in an antitrust situation that might get you a guilty plea? Yes. Did US Soccer and MLS prevent the NASL from being successful? Absolutely not. This is a league that first was funded by Traffic Sports, who all of the figures who were involved in that are now indicted on other reasons. Traffic Sports funded the Atlanta Silverbacks for the first 3 years of their return to the NASL, which was done because they didn't have enough teams to launch. The second division standards that the NASL is complaining about here were set due to requests by the North American Soccer League to have higher standards. That's why these clubs left the USL structure at that time, because clubs were coming and going and they were very frustrated. Uh, so the standards were set by essentially what became the NASL. The idea of competing with Major League Soccer was not there until the New York Cosmos joined the league in 2013. In fact, the second teams from MLS were going to join the NASL rather than USL. That changed when the Cosmos came into play, and the Cosmos said they wouldn't come into the North American Soccer League if that was going to be the case. They wanted to compete with MLS. The rest of the league went along with it because Traffic Sports and their influence was waning at that stage. The Silverbacks had their own local ownership back for the 2014 season, and that ownership group did not want to continue after the 2014 season. The league funded the team for 2015. They were going to fund it for 2016 and pulled the plug in late January. Um, so many different things. They never met Division Two standards that they wanted to set. So while they can make actual points about the relationship between US Soccer and MLS and point fingers and try to insinuate elements of it, the fact is the North American Soccer League was never successful as a business entity on its own. I watched it firsthand. It was launched with dubious means, and it never met the standards that it itself wanted to set, and later US Soccer agreed to set for them. They never met that. They were nowhere close to meeting Division 1 standards. They could have been very successful as a Division 2 league, as we're seeing with the USL now. They are not. And you had a club that won the last title in the league basically say before the end of their first season that they were going to go under. So I want more soccer. I always want to see more soccer in this country. The NASL did nothing to grow the game in this country and actually set it back in many different markets. So this lawsuit it should have been settled by now. Um, it will get resolved, and I don't think it will be a large amount of money. It could be one, again, like the USFL kind of prize. So we will see where that goes. Not a lot's being talked about with this lawsuit right now. I don't think a lot of people understand it. Frankly, I don't think a lot of people really remember how that league was run and how it was structured and how unprofessional it was at times. So maybe there is some different shading or some agendas trying to be set, but it's not a league that had any recipe for success really at any point in its existence from 2011 until 2017. All right, silly season updates quickly. No update when it comes to Mo Salah's contract at Liverpool. No update when it comes to Virgil van Dijk's contract at Liverpool. No update when it comes to Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract at Liverpool. Now, Mo Salah, the Saudi Pro League, they are desperate to land him. Al Hilal would love to bring him in. They want to move on from Neymar. Saudi Arabia would like for Salah to be part of the push into World Cup 2034. And Al Hilal would like to have Mo Salah as part of their squad for the Club World Cup this summer. Randall Kolo Muani has moved to Juventus from PSG on loan. Jonathan David, another player out of contract in the summer. Not really any updates on him yet either. He's at Lille. Manchester United looked at him last summer. They went with Joshua Zirkzee instead. Other clubs have expressed interest on a free transfer this summer. Reports in Italy, there's an agreement in principle between Milan and Feyenoord to bring in Santiago Jimenez. But ESPN Netherlands is saying there is nothing between the two clubs at this stage. Milan are looking for a striker. Jimenez could be the guy. West Ham, who was linked with interest in Emmanuel Latte Lath, although they have not made an offer, they are in for RB Leipzig striker Andre Silva. He would be the one to help replace Nicholas Füllkrug. Keylor Navas, he is at Newell's Old Boys. Mexican clubs were not able to hijack that deal. San Lorenzo have signed an up-and-coming 19-year-old striker from Colombia, Jaime Peralta. He was at Cucuta, almost 50 games at the first-team level, and he's 19. He's got experience in the Copa Sudamericana as well. Week remaining, a little bit of more than a week in some cases in this current market. Spanish top flight, La Liga. They are behind most every league in the world right now. They're 34th in the world in terms of spending in this window, less than 3 million euro. Even the Spanish third tier has spent more than La Liga. That's down to Celta B bringing in one player and Barca's second team bringing in a player. Madrid, Barca, Atleti, they have not spent anything in this window. MLS right now is fourth in worldwide spending in this January window, behind the Premier League, behind Brazil Serie A, and behind Ligue 1. If the deals that Atlanta has on the table, according to reports with the numbers, get done, MLS could be either right at or past Brazil's Serie A. They're not going to get to the Premier League spending, but they could be second in the world in spending in this window. Speaking of MLS moves, let's get to those really quick. The Alan Velasco deal is done. He is back at Boca, somewhere between $10 to $12 million coming Dallas's way. Dallas also traded 27-year-old center back Nkosi Tafari to LAFC, $300,000 in general allocation money and an international roster slot. The GAM and the roster slot are for 2026. So Dallas has moved on from Jesus Ferreira, Paul Arriola, Alan Velasco, Nkosi Tafari. They got a lot of openings on that roster. If you're looking for a spot, you might want to go call up Dallas. Charlotte FC, they have announced the transfer of Karol Świderski to Panathinaikos in Greece. $2 million transfer fee is what's being reported. They'll have a designated player spot now. They have designated players in Liel Albada and Wilfred Zaha on the wings. You've got Patrick Agyemang as the 9. You've got Pep Biel as the 10. We'll be curious to see what Charlotte might do with that other designated player spot. RSL, they have signed a striker, Ariath Piol, from Australian A-League side MacArthur FC, 20-year-old on a 3-year contract. He has 4 goals in 14 appearances since making his pro debut last season. Nashville have acquired goalkeeper Brian Schweik from Spanish second division side Castellon. That was announced yesterday. 23-year-old American. He signed for 2 years with an option for a third. Played 1 season at DePaul University, then went to Scotland with Livingston. Now is at Castellon in Spain before going to the Music City. Tom Bogert of Give Me Sport reports that Portland Timbers have agreed to a deal for Colombian Youth International left back Himer Fori from Medellin, from Independiente Medellin. 22 years old. He's already played over 128 games, he's played 128 games in his career so far. He's played for Independiente Medellin, Atlético Nacional, and Deportivo Pereira. 2 Colombian league titles for Fori. 15 USL championship teams have already signed MLS players ahead of the 2025 season. I think you're starting to see a little bit of that separation in terms of first division, second division, third division, and where guys are falling in that pyramid. Again, hello, NASL, you could have been part of this, but you never got your business in order. And now you're just blaming others for that. USL figured it out, and the USL Championship is a very strong league right now. And when you have all of this talent being produced, the level of domestic talent that the USL Championship is able to take advantage of, better and better and better and better. Mateusz Bogusz is confirmed to be a Cruz Azul reinforcement, according to Today NA. That has not been announced as of yet. Cruz Azul is its own drama right now, with their manager being hounded at the airport because he's going to Porto. So he's not their manager anymore, except Cruz Azul, according to Today NA, their legal department told the manager that he needs to attend training today, when obviously he was at the airport yesterday, so I don't think he's going to be there. And they could get into a breach of contract issue. The manager, Martin Anselmi, he said at the airport that he had been told there was an agreement between Porto and Cruz Azul for his departure. And obviously there's a ticket in place. He said, quote, and translated, "I was informed by Porto that there is an agreement and there are only a few details left to be resolved. He was flying to Madrid, then to Portugal. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be breach of contract. I don't know. Mateusz Bogusz, there were questions that he might not go to Cruz Azul because of all this, but it sounds like it's going to be done. We'll see. It hasn't been announced yet. Welcome to silly season. I said keep your seatbelts buckled. You're going to need to keep your seatbelts buckled during SDH Live this morning as well. 9:05 start. Twitch, X, Facebook, and of course you can watch here on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to us in as many of those places as you can, and make sure you're following us on all your social media platforms at Soccer Down Here. I'll have some clips from Atlanta United media availability yesterday. A training ground dispatch will be posted later today as we get ready for Atlanta United in Chattanooga. That's tomorrow, 3 o'clock start. You can watch the stream at atlutd.com/live. That will have our radio commentary, Mike Conti and myself, on from 92.9 The Game and on the Odyssey app. That's tomorrow at 3, but enjoy the rest of your Friday. Keep the seatbelts fastened, and we'll see where silly season takes us through the weekend.